Some places seem to exist outside of time. They wake before the sun, greet the seasons without hurry, and quietly carry the memories of every passing year. Tonight, we will spend an entire year on one such old farm, nestled gently among rolling meadows, winding hedgerows, and quiet woods where the mornings begin with birdsong instead of clocks. Nothing urgent will happen here. There are no deadlines to meet, no crowded streets to cross, and no voices raised above the soft whisper of the wind. Instead, we will simply follow the rhythm that has guided this small piece of land for generations. If you are still awake, perhaps allow your breathing to become slower than it was a few moments ago. There is nowhere else to be. The year is just beginning. Before dawn, the farm is almost invisible beneath the pale light of winter stars. Frost has settled across every roof tile, every wooden fence post, and every blade of sleeping grass. The old farmhouse, built from weathered stone many decades ago, rests quietly beneath its blanket of cold. Smoke has not yet begun to rise from the chimney. Even the trees stand perfectly still, their bare branches reaching upward like delicate ink drawings against the fading night sky. The silence is so complete that the smallest sounds become noticeable. Somewhere beyond the barn, an owl gives one last soft call before returning to its hollow tree. A distant stream continues its patient journey beneath a thin layer of ice, making only the faintest murmur beneath the frozen surface. As the first hint of dawn begins to brighten the eastern horizon, the farm slowly reveals itself. The barns appear first, dark shapes standing patiently against the whitened fields. Their wooden beams have weathered countless winters like this one. Every scratch and every faded board tells the story of another season survived. Frost glitters along the edges of old wagon wheels leaning against the wall. Empty flower beds wait beneath their covering of snow, hiding bulbs that already know exactly when spring will return. Nature rarely forgets its schedule. Deep beneath the frozen soil, roots remain alive, protected by the earth itself, quietly conserving their energy until warmer days awaken them once again. The chickens remain inside their warm coop for now, tucked together closely on their wooden roosts. Birds have a remarkable ability to conserve warmth during cold nights. By fluffing their feathers, they trap tiny pockets of air that act as natural insulation. Outside, a robin lands briefly upon an old fence before quickly continuing its search for berries hidden among the hedgerows. Winter offers fewer meals than summer, and every small discovery matters. Across the pasture, a pair of sheep stand close together. Their thick wool shields them from the icy air far better than most people imagine. Snow rests gently upon their backs without melting, a quiet reminder of how effectively nature has dressed them for the season. The farmer has not yet stepped outside. The old farmhouse remains peaceful, its windows glowing softly as the kitchen fire is slowly brought back to life. Long before electricity reached places like this, mornings always began with the simple ritual of building warmth. Dry oak logs crackled gently within the stove, releasing the familiar scent of wood smoke that drifts upward into the cold morning air. A kettle begins to warm. The sound is almost forgotten in modern life, yet here it still marks the beginning of every day. It is a sound that has greeted generations before this one and will likely greet many more after. Outside, sunlight finally reaches the tops of the tallest trees. The frost responds immediately. Millions of tiny ice crystals sparkle like scattered diamonds, reflecting colors that seem almost impossible for frozen water to create. Pale blues become gentle pinks. Silver turns briefly to gold. Each crystal exists for only a short while before the warmth of daylight slowly transforms it back into water. This quiet disappearance happens every clear winter morning, unnoticed by most of the world. Yet, it remains one of nature's smallest masterpieces. The orchard stands nearby, silent beneath its leafless branches. Apple trees have entered their long winter rest. Their twisted limbs appear almost sculptural without leaves to soften their outlines. Though they seem asleep, they are carefully preparing for another growing season. Tiny buds already wait along each branch, tightly sealed against the cold. Hidden inside, every one is the complete design for next spring's leaves and blossoms. All they require is patience, enough winter chill, and the gentle return of warmth. Near the edge of the property, an ancient oak tree spreads its enormous branches across the field. It has watched countless winters arrive and depart. Birds have nested within its limbs for generations. Foxes have sheltered beneath its roots. Children once climbed its sturdy branches, while grandparents rested beneath its shade during long summer afternoons. Trees often outlive the people who care for them. They quietly become witnesses to history without ever speaking a single word. The morning slowly grows brighter. A pair of horses emerge from the stable, their breath forming white clouds in the crisp air. Their heavy winter coats have grown thick over the past several months, providing remarkable protection against the cold. They move carefully across the frosted ground, each hoof producing a gentle crunch upon the frozen grass. Their calm movements seem perfectly suited to the peaceful pace of winter itself. There is no reason to rush. Food waits in familiar places. Water flows where it always has. The farm asks only for steady attention, never frantic speed. Far above, a small flock of geese crosses the pale sky. Their unmistakable V-shaped formation stretches across the morning light as they continue a journey begun many hundreds of kilometers away. Flying together allows each bird to conserve energy by taking advantage of the air currents created by the wings ahead. Leadership changes frequently within the flock, ensuring that no single bird becomes exhausted. It is one of nature's quiet examples of cooperation, repeated every migration season without instruction or rehearsal. The vegetable garden appears empty now. Raised beds rest beneath layers of mulch, protecting the countless organisms living within the soil. Even during winter, the ground remains surprisingly alive. Earthworms continue their slow work whenever temperatures allow. Microscopic fungi form vast underground networks connecting plant roots, exchanging nutrients in ways scientists are still discovering. Beneath every peaceful garden lies an invisible world busier than the one above it. By late morning, sunlight has softened the edges of the frost. Tiny drops of water gather along old wooden fences before slipping quietly into the earth below. The air smells cleaner somehow during winter, carrying hints of pine, damp soil, and distant wood smoke. Without dense summer foliage, sounds travel farther across the countryside. The call of a woodpecker echoes through the woods. Somewhere beyond the fields, a small brook continues to tumble over rounded stones polished smooth by thousands of years of flowing water. The barn doors creak open with familiar ease. Inside, stacked hay fills the air with the comforting scent of dried grasses collected months before. Every bale represents careful preparation during summer's busiest weeks. Farmers have always understood that winter rewards those who think far ahead. The golden hay now feeds animals when fresh pastures remain hidden beneath frost. Every season quietly prepares for the next. Summer stores food for winter. Winter protects the seeds of spring. Spring creates the abundance of autumn. The cycle turns without interruption, year after year. Sunlight filters through narrow gaps between weathered wooden boards, filling the barn with long beams of golden light where tiny dust particles drift lazily through the air. A barn cat stretches awake atop an old sack of grain before making its quiet morning inspection. Cats have lived alongside farms for thousands of years, protecting harvested grain from curious mice. Their partnership with people is one of history's oldest and most successful friendships, built not through commands, but through mutual benefit and quiet understanding. Outside again, the afternoon settles gently across the countryside. The wind remains light, barely disturbing the tall reeds surrounding the frozen pond. Beneath the thin ice, fish move slowly through the dark water, where temperatures remain surprisingly stable. The surface may freeze, but deeper water often stays just above freezing throughout winter, allowing aquatic life to continue almost undisturbed beneath the glassy layer above. Clouds drift slowly across the pale blue sky, casting broad shadows that glide silently over fields and hedgerows. Time seems different here. Minutes are measured not by clocks, but by changing light, lengthening shadows, and the gradual movement of the sun across familiar hills. Nothing demands immediate attention. Even the animals understand this slower rhythm. Sheep graze quietly where grass remains exposed. Horses stand comfortably facing the gentle breeze. Sparrows hop patiently beneath hedges, searching for scattered seeds hidden among fallen leaves from the previous autumn. As the afternoon slowly begins its quiet journey toward evening, the farmhouse stands warm against the surrounding winter landscape. Smoke rises steadily into the cooling air, disappearing high above among slow-moving clouds. Inside, simple routines continue exactly as they have for generations. Boots dry beside the fire. Bread cools upon a wooden table. A lantern waits patiently for sunset, though electric lights now fill the rooms. Old habits often remain long after newer conveniences arrive, and perhaps they endure because they remind us that comfort is found less in technology than in familiar rituals repeated with care. The first day of our year is passing gently, almost without notice. Winter has offered no great drama, only quiet beauty revealed to anyone willing to slow down enough to see it. Tomorrow will look much the same, though never exactly the same. The frost will choose different patterns upon the windows. Birds will land upon different branches. Clouds will travel different paths across the sky. Yet, together these tiny differences slowly shape the story of an entire year, one peaceful day at a time. The evening arrives almost without announcement. The sun, which only a short while ago rested above the distant hills, now slips quietly behind them, leaving the countryside wrapped in soft shades of lavender, pale blue, and gentle silver. The last rays of daylight linger upon the highest branches of the old oak before fading into twilight. Across the fields, long shadows disappear completely, replaced by the calm stillness that only winter evenings seem to possess. There is no rush for darkness here. It arrives gradually, patiently, allowing every corner of the farm to settle into its nightly rhythm. A cool breeze moves gently across the open pasture, carrying with it the clean scent of frozen earth and distant pine forests. The grasses, still coated in tiny crystals of frost where the afternoon sun never reached, shimmer faintly beneath the fading light. Every fence post casts a soft silhouette against the snowy fields. The wooden rails have been repaired many times over the decades. Some boards are newer than others, while older pieces have become smooth from years of rain, wind, and countless hands resting upon them. Together, they form a quiet record of patient maintenance, proving that a farm is never truly finished. Every season asks for another small repair, another careful adjustment, another thoughtful improvement. The cows wander slowly toward the shelter of their barn. Their pace is unhurried, guided less by instinct than by habit formed through hundreds of familiar evenings. They know the path without needing direction. Hooves leave gentle impressions in the thin layer of snow before disappearing beneath fresh flakes that begin to drift silently from the sky. Snowfall has a remarkable ability to soften the world. Hard edges become gentle curves. sounds grow quieter. Even distant trees seem to move farther away behind the veil of falling white. Inside the stable, warm breath rises from the horses in slow clouds that catch the lantern light. Fresh straw has been spread across the floor, creating a soft bed that insulates against the cold ground beneath. Horses spend much of their day standing, even while resting. Their remarkable legs contain special tendons and ligaments that allow them to relax without collapsing, conserving precious energy during long winters when every calorie matters. Nature has refined such quiet efficiencies over millions of years, crafting solutions that often go unnoticed simply because they work so well. The old barn itself seems almost alive. Its timbers expand and contract softly with changing temperatures, producing the occasional gentle creak that echoes through the quiet interior. Each beam was once part of a great tree that grew slowly beneath open skies, adding one thin ring of wood every year. Those rings still remain hidden inside every plank, silently recording decades of droughts, wet summers, harsh winters, and abundant springs. Long before becoming part of the barn, these trees had already lived full lives in the surrounding forest. Nearby, the chicken coop grows peaceful. One by one, the hens settle upon their roosts, tucking their heads beneath warm feathers. Chickens naturally seek elevated places to sleep, a behavior inherited from their wild ancestors that once roosted safely among tree branches beyond the reach of predators. Even after thousands of years living beside people, many ancient instincts remain beautifully unchanged. Some traditions belong not to culture, but to biology itself. As darkness deepens, the first stars begin to appear overhead. Winter skies often reveal extraordinary clarity because the cold air holds far less moisture than summer evenings. Familiar constellations emerge one after another, just as they have for every generation that has ever looked upward from this same farm. Farmers once relied upon these stars not only for beauty, but for guidance, measuring seasons, predicting weather, and planning work according to patterns observed across countless years. Before mechanical clocks and digital calendars, the sky itself served as both calendar and compass. A fox moves quietly along the hedgerow, almost invisible against the snowy landscape. Its thick winter coat glows softly beneath the moonlight, each careful step nearly silent upon the frozen ground. Foxes possess remarkable hearing, capable of detecting tiny movements beneath deep snow. Sometimes they pause completely, listening with extraordinary concentration before making a graceful leap toward an unseen mouse hidden below the surface. Such moments of perfect precision have been repeated across untold generations, requiring neither instruction nor practice beyond what instinct already provides. Beyond the fields, the forest seems asleep, yet countless lives continue beneath its quiet appearance. Tiny mammals move through tunnels insulated beneath fallen leaves. Owls begin their nightly patrols between towering trunks. Deer gather among sheltered clearings where the wind is weaker. Moss clings patiently to ancient stones, remaining green even through the coldest months. Winter does not stop life. It simply changes its pace. Back at the farmhouse, warm light spills gently through small windows onto the snow outside. The glass glows like amber against the deepening blue of evening. Inside, the fire burns steadily, filling the room with the comforting scent of oak and ash. Cast iron pots simmer quietly upon the stove. The walls, built from thick stone generations ago, hold the day's warmth surprisingly well. In many old farmhouses, every feature was designed with careful practicality. Thick walls provided insulation. Small windows reduced heat loss. Roofs were steep enough to shed heavy snow before its weight became dangerous. Even beauty often began with simple necessity. An old wooden clock ticks steadily in the corner of the kitchen. Its pendulum swings with perfect patience, measuring moments that seem almost unimportant here. On the farm, time has always belonged more to sunrise and sunset than to numbers upon a dial. Animals rise with daylight. Crops follow the length of the days. Trees measure seasons instead of hours. Even people, despite all modern conveniences, often find themselves slowing naturally when surrounded by these older rhythms. Outside once more, the snowfall grows slightly heavier. Each snowflake follows a unique journey through the atmosphere before reaching the ground. Scientists have long known that no two snowflakes develop exactly alike, because each travels through slightly different temperatures and humidity levels during its descent. Tiny changes in the air create endless variations of delicate crystal patterns. What appears to be a simple blanket of snow is actually composed of millions upon millions of individual works of natural geometry, each existing only briefly before melting back into ordinary water. The frozen pond reflects the rising moon like polished silver. Along its edges, clusters of reeds sway gently whenever the breeze passes through. Beneath the ice, life continues quietly. Fish conserve energy by swimming slowly through the deeper water, where temperatures remain remarkably stable. Aquatic insects rest among submerged plants, waiting patiently for spring. The pond may appear frozen and lifeless from above, yet beneath its smooth surface, an entire hidden community continues through the winter, almost untouched by the cold world overhead. As the night becomes deeper, silence settles fully across the farm. It is not an empty silence, but a living one, filled with subtle sounds that reward careful listening. The distant rustle of dry grasses, the soft settling of snow from a pine branch, the quiet hoot of an owl somewhere within the woods, the gentle murmur of wind passing through bare branches. Together, They form a kind of peaceful music, one that asks for nothing except quiet attention. This old farm has experienced winters far colder than this one. It has seen heavy snow bury fences until only the tops of posts remained visible. It has welcomed springs that arrived early and others that seemed endlessly delayed. It has endured fierce summer storms and celebrated abundant harvests beneath clear autumn skies. Through every changing year, the land has remained remarkably patient. Seasons come and go, but the farm never hurries them. It simply receives each one exactly as it arrives, trusting that every ending quietly prepares the beginning of something new. Above, the stars continue their slow passage across the sky. Below, the farmhouse sleeps warmly beneath its weathered roof, while the fields rest peacefully beneath fresh snow. Winter has only just begun, and already the earth is quietly preparing for spring, hidden deep beneath the frozen ground. For now, though, there is only this calm evening, this gentle snowfall, and the comforting certainty that tomorrow will arrive as softly as today has faded away. Night settles completely over the old farm, wrapping every field, tree, and weathered building beneath a quiet blanket of darkness. The snow has stopped falling, leaving behind a fresh layer that reflects the moonlight with remarkable softness. Under this pale glow, the familiar landscape almost seems transformed into another world. The winding lane that leads toward the farmhouse is now a smooth ribbon of white. The hedgerows have become rounded shapes beneath their snowy coverings. Even the old stone walls, built long before anyone living can remember, seem gentler tonight, their rough edges softened by winter's careful touch. The moon climbs higher into the sky, casting long silver shadows across the sleeping fields. Moonlight is far dimmer than sunlight, yet human eyes gradually adapt to the darkness. Tiny cells within our retinas become increasingly sensitive, allowing us to distinguish shapes that seemed invisible only moments before. On clear winter nights like this one, the countryside glows with a quiet brightness that city dwellers rarely experience. Without the glow of countless streetlights, the stars and moon become the true lamps of the landscape, just as they were for thousands of years before electricity transformed the night. A gentle breeze moves through the tops of the pine trees at the edge of the woodland. Evergreen forests possess a character all their own during winter, while deciduous trees surrender their leaves. Each autumn, pines, spruces, and firs continue holding their needles through the cold months. Their dark green crowns provide shelter for birds and small mammals when the rest of the forest stands bare. Snow settles delicately upon their branches, creating graceful layers that seem almost too perfect to have formed naturally. Yet, every curve has been shaped by gravity, wind, and countless tiny snowflakes finding their resting place. Deep within the woods, a tawny owl glides silently between the trees. Unlike many birds, An owl's feathers are specially designed to muffle the sound of flight. Tiny fringes along the edges of their wings break up the air turbulence that normally creates noise, allowing them to hunt in near silence. The forest seems almost unaware of its passing. It moves like a shadow among shadows, guided by extraordinary hearing, capable of locating the faintest rustle beneath leaves or snow. In the stillness of the winter night, every small sound becomes a map. The farmhouse has grown quiet now. Upstairs, the old wooden floors no longer creak beneath footsteps. Downstairs, only the steady glow of the fireplace remains, its embers pulsing gently with deep orange light. Occasionally, a log shifts as it settles, sending a brief shower of tiny sparks upward before they disappear into the chimney. Fire has always offered more than warmth. For thousands of years, it has gathered people together, marking the end of work and the beginning of rest. Long before television, before radio, before books were common, families often spent evenings simply watching flames dance, while sharing stories carried across generations. Outside, the old orchard sleeps peacefully beneath the moonlight. Each apple tree stands perfectly still, its bare branches reaching toward the stars like delicate sculptures carved from dark wood. Although nothing appears to be growing, remarkable changes continue inside every branch. Throughout winter, trees carefully regulate tiny amounts of water and natural sugars within their cells. These dissolved sugars act like antifreeze, lowering the freezing point of their tissues and helping protect them from damage during the coldest nights. It is one of countless quiet adaptations that allow life to endure conditions that seem impossibly harsh. Near the barn, a rabbit emerges cautiously from beneath a tangled bramble. Its large ears rotate independently, collecting sounds from every direction. Winter can be difficult for small animals, yet many survive through careful conservation of energy and an intimate knowledge of their surroundings. The rabbit pauses beside a patch of exposed grass where the wind has swept away the snow. It feeds slowly, never remaining still for long, always alert for signs of danger hidden within the peaceful darkness. The frozen stream that winds through the farm continues its gentle journey beneath a thin shell of ice. Water is unusual among liquids because ice floats rather than sinks. This simple property has profound consequences for life on Earth. By freezing at the surface first, lakes and streams create an insulating layer that protects the water below from becoming completely frozen. Without this remarkable characteristic, many freshwater ecosystems could not survive long winters. Even beneath the quiet appearance of the frozen stream, tiny fish, insects, and aquatic plants continue their lives in relative safety. Hours pass almost unnoticed. Clouds drift slowly across the stars before moving on again, revealing the brilliant winter sky. The constellation of Orion rises above the eastern horizon, its familiar belt pointing toward distant stars that have guided travelers for centuries. The light from some of these stars began its journey long before the farmhouse itself was built. Others have traveled hundreds or even thousands of years before finally reaching this quiet field tonight. Looking upward is always a gentle reminder that time moves on scales far larger than our own lives. Around midnight, the temperature drops even further. Frost begins forming once again along every exposed surface. Tiny crystals spread across wooden gates, barn windows, and forgotten tools left outside. The process happens slowly enough to escape notice, yet by morning, the transformation will seem complete. Nature often works in this way, making countless invisible changes that only become obvious after enough time has quietly passed. Inside the stable, the horses rest peacefully. One shifts its weight before settling again, releasing a slow breath that drifts upward into the cool air. Nearby, the sheep sleep close together, their thick wool creating a shared warmth that makes winter nights surprisingly comfortable. Across the farm, every living creature has found its own way of surviving the cold. Some rely on thick fur, others on feathers, stored food, deep burrows, or quiet endurance. There is no single solution. Instead, the natural world offers an astonishing variety of gentle adaptations, each perfectly suited to its place. Toward the darkest part of the night, when even the wind seems to pause, the farm reaches a rare moment of complete stillness. It is the kind of silence that feels almost tangible, as though the entire landscape has taken one slow, peaceful breath together. The snow reflects enough moonlight that the fields continue to glow softly, while the surrounding woods stand like quiet guardians watching over the valley. Yet, even now, the earth itself continues moving. The planet rotates steadily beneath the stars at more than 1,600 kilometers per hour near the equator, carrying this peaceful farm toward another sunrise. We never feel that movement because everything around us shares the same gentle journey. While the fields sleep beneath frost, while the animals dream in warm shelters, while the old farmhouse rests in silence, the entire landscape is already traveling toward tomorrow. Far beneath the frozen soil, countless roots remain alive. Oak, ash, apple, blackberry, wild grasses, and tiny woodland flowers all wait patiently beneath the surface. The earth acts as a protective blanket, keeping temperatures below ground surprisingly stable despite the bitter air above. Seeds resting within the soil contain entire future plants folded into astonishingly small spaces. Leaves, flowers, stems, and roots already exist within them in miniature, simply waiting for warmth, moisture, and light to begin another cycle of growth. Slowly, almost imperceptibly, the eastern horizon begins to lose a little of its darkness. Dawn is still some distance away, but the longest part of the night has already passed. Somewhere within the hedgerow, the first small robin stirs among its feathers. Inside the barn, the horses begin shifting quietly. The farm has not awakened yet, but it is preparing to. Just as every winter eventually becomes spring, every night gently gives way to morning. Our year has only just begun. The fields remain wrapped in frost. The trees stand bare against the pale sky, and the quiet work of winter continues beneath every stone and every sleeping branch. There is comfort in knowing that nothing needs to hurry. The seasons have followed this gentle rhythm for thousands of years, and they will continue long after tonight. For now, the old farm rests peacefully beneath the fading stars, waiting for the first soft light of another winter morning. The first hint of dawn does not arrive as a beam of sunlight, but as a quiet change in the color of the sky. The deep blue above the fields gradually softens into pale gray, then into a delicate wash of lavender that spreads slowly across the eastern horizon. One by one, the brightest stars fade into the growing light, not disappearing all at once, but surrendering gently to the coming day. It is a transition so gradual that it often escapes notice unless someone has been awake to witness the entire journey. Here on the old farm, mornings have always arrived this way, without fanfare, without urgency, asking nothing more than quiet observation. The snow that fell during the night lies perfectly undisturbed. No footprints cross the yard. No wagon tracks interrupt the smooth white blanket covering the fields. Every fence post wears a small cap of fresh snow, while the branches of the apple orchard bend slightly beneath their delicate weight. For a brief moment, before the first animals emerge from their shelters, the farm belongs entirely to silence. As the light strengthens, tiny details begin revealing themselves. The grain of weathered wood upon the barn doors, the rough texture of old stone walls built by hands long forgotten, the delicate lacework of frost decorating the edges of every window pane. These icy patterns seem almost artistic, yet they form through simple physics. As warm air from inside the farmhouse meets the cold glass, moisture condenses and freezes into branching crystals that grow outward in extraordinary shapes. Every window becomes its own small gallery of winter art, never exactly repeating the design from the day before. From inside the chicken coop comes the first soft stirring of feathers. A hen gives a quiet cluck, answered almost immediately by another. The flock awakens gradually, stretching wings, shaking loose tiny flakes of straw, and preparing for another ordinary day. Domestic chickens still follow ancient rhythms inherited from their wild ancestors. They respond naturally to changing daylight, becoming active with sunrise, and settling to rest soon after sunset. Long before alarm clocks existed, the rising sun served as nature's most reliable signal that a new day had begun. A faint curl of smoke soon rises once more from the farmhouse chimney, twisting lazily into the calm morning air. The smell of burning oak drifts gently across the yard, mixing with the clean scent of frost and damp earth hidden beneath the snow. There is something deeply comforting about wood smoke on a winter morning. It speaks of warmth waiting indoors, of kettles beginning to simmer, of thick wool blankets folded neatly beside old wooden chairs. It is a scent that has accompanied rural winters for centuries, carrying with it memories of countless quiet mornings just like this one. The old farmer steps outside, wrapped in a heavy wool coat that has seen many winters. His boots leave the first fresh footprints across the snow, each one producing a soft crunch that echoes faintly through the still air. He pauses for just a moment before beginning the morning chores, looking across the fields as though greeting an old friend. There is no need to hurry. The animals know he will come, just as he knows they will be waiting. The stable doors open with their familiar creak, and warm air escapes into the cold morning, carrying with it the earthy scent of hay and horses. The horses lift their heads as he enters, ears turning forward with quiet recognition. They have learned this daily routine through years of repetition. Food arrives at nearly the same hour every morning. Fresh water follows. Then comes the slow brushing of thick winter coats that removes loose hair while strengthening the quiet bond between animal and caretaker. Outside the stable, the sheep begin moving across the pasture where patches of grass remain visible above the snow. Their wool appears almost impossibly thick now, having grown steadily through autumn in preparation for the colder months. Wool is a remarkable natural fiber. Each strand traps tiny pockets of air that create excellent insulation while still allowing moisture to escape. It is one of nature's finest examples of practical design, perfected over thousands of years through quiet adaptation rather than invention. Beyond the pasture, the frozen pond glows softly beneath the pale morning sky. A thin mist rises where a small spring feeds fresh water into one corner, preventing the ice from forming completely there. Ducks gather in this open patch, drifting slowly across the dark water, while occasionally dipping beneath the surface in search of aquatic plants. Even in winter, life continues wherever conditions allow. The farm is filled with countless small refuges like these, each supporting its own quiet community through the changing seasons. The orchard remains silent, though not entirely empty. A flock of small finches flutters among the branches, searching for seeds hidden within dried grasses beneath the trees. Their bright feathers provide tiny flashes of color against the otherwise muted winter landscape. Birds play an important role on farms throughout the year. Some consume insects that might otherwise damage crops, while others help disperse seeds or pollinate blossoms during spring. Even the smallest visitor contributes in ways that often go unnoticed. As the sun finally rises above the distant hills, golden light spills slowly across the fields. The The snow begins reflecting that warmth with dazzling brightness, transforming the countryside into a landscape of soft light and long blue shadows. Every blade of frozen grass sparkles beneath countless tiny ice crystals. The effect lasts only a short while before the day's gentle warmth begins melting the delicate frost, reminding us once again how even the most beautiful moments in nature are often the most fleeting. The old barn stands proudly in the morning light, its weathered boards glowing with rich shades of amber and brown. Generations have repaired its roof, strengthened its beams, and replaced damaged planks whenever necessary. Very little of the original structure remains untouched by time, yet somehow it has preserved its character. Old farms rarely remain exactly as they were built. Instead, they evolve slowly, shaped by necessity, weather, and the careful hands of those who care for them. Near the vegetable garden, rows of dormant soil rest quietly beneath protective layers of straw and compost. To an untrained eye, the garden appears empty. Yet, beneath the surface, billions of microscopic organisms continue their patient work. Bacteria break down fallen leaves into nutrients. Fungi weave delicate threads through the earth, connecting roots in hidden networks that stretch astonishing distances. Earthworms slowly tunnel through the soil whenever temperatures rise enough to allow movement. Even during winter, the garden is far from lifeless. It is simply working where few people think to look. A gentle breeze begins moving across the open fields, carrying tiny spirals of loose snow into the air before setting them down again, only a few meters away. The patterns left behind resemble waves upon a frozen sea. Wind has shaped landscapes for millions of years, sculpting sand dunes, carving cliffs, and carrying seeds to new places where future forests may someday grow. Even here, on this quiet farm, the invisible movement of air quietly reshapes the world a little each day. The morning gradually settles into its familiar rhythm. Animals feed peacefully. Birds fill the hedgerows with gentle songs. Smoke continues rising from the farmhouse chimney in a slow, steady column. Nothing extraordinary happens, and perhaps that is exactly what makes this place so comforting. The farm does not depend upon dramatic moments to reveal its beauty. Instead, it offers countless small wonders to anyone willing to slow down enough to notice them. Winter still holds the countryside in its gentle embrace, but somewhere beneath the frozen fields, unseen changes have already begun. Every sunrise brings the earth imperceptibly closer to spring. The days lengthen by only a few minutes at a time, almost too slowly to measure without careful observation. Yet nature notices. Trees notice. Birds notice. Seeds resting quietly beneath the soil notice. Life has an extraordinary sensitivity to even the smallest changes in light, preparing long before the season itself appears to have changed. And so another peaceful morning unfolds upon the old farm, one quiet breath at a time, as the great wheel of the seasons continues its slow and timeless turning. As the morning matures, the light grows softer rather than brighter. Thin clouds drift lazily across the winter sky, gently filtering the sunlight until it falls upon the fields like pale silk. The sharp sparkle of frost begins to fade, replaced by tiny beads of water that gather along every fence rail and branch. One by one, these droplets become too heavy to cling to the wood beneath them. They fall quietly onto the snow below, each making a sound far too gentle for human ears to notice. Across the farm, millions of these tiny moments unfold together, creating a slow transformation that seems almost magical, though it is simply another ordinary winter morning. The narrow lane leading away from the farmhouse winds between ancient hedgerows that have stood here for generations. These living fences are much more than boundaries between fields. They provide shelter for birds during harsh weather, safe nesting places in spring, and corridors that allow countless small creatures to travel across the landscape while remaining hidden from predators. A single mature hedgerow may support hundreds of different species of plants, insects, birds, and mammals, quietly becoming one of the richest habitats on the entire farm. A pair of blue tits flit rapidly between the tangled branches, their tiny movements bringing sudden flashes of yellow and blue against the muted winter colors. They inspect every crack in the bark, searching patiently for insects hidden beneath loose flakes of wood. Even during the coldest months, countless insects remain tucked safely away beneath bark or deep within stems, waiting for warmer temperatures before becoming active once again. The birds know exactly where to look. Generations of instinct have taught them that winter rewards careful observation rather than hurried searching. Not far away, an old stone well stands quietly beside the farmhouse. Moss has slowly claimed much of its weathered surface, remaining surprisingly green throughout the winter months. Unlike flowering plants, mosses do not possess deep roots. Instead, they absorb moisture directly through their tiny leaves whenever rain, mist, or melting snow provides enough water. Their simple design has changed very little over hundreds of millions of years, making them among the oldest surviving groups of plants on Earth. They ask for almost nothing, just shade, moisture, and time. The farmhouse garden sleeps peacefully beneath its winter covering. Flower beds that only a few months ago overflowed with lavender, marigolds, foxgloves, and daisies now appear as quiet mounds beneath the snow. Yet beneath the surface, countless bulbs remain alive. Tulips, daffodils, crocuses, and snowdrops have already formed miniature leaves and flowers inside their protective bulbs. They simply wait for the soil to warm enough before beginning their slow journey upward toward the light. Spring often feels sudden to us, but for these plants, it begins months before the first blossom ever appears. Near the edge of the vegetable patch stands a small greenhouse built from old wooden frames and slightly uneven panes of glass. Tiny droplets of condensation cover the inside of each window, catching the morning light like strings of pearls. Even in winter, the greenhouse holds a little more warmth than the open garden. Small trays of hardy herbs continue growing inside, filling the air with the faint scent of rosemary, thyme, and mint. Their fragrance mingles softly with the earthy smell of damp compost and aged wood, creating an atmosphere that feels quietly alive despite the cold season beyond the glass. The old farmer walks slowly toward the orchard, carrying a woven basket filled with seed. Rather than scattering it randomly, he pauses every few steps, placing small handfuls near bushes, beneath trees, and along the sheltered edges of the hedgerow. Winter can be difficult for many birds, particularly after heavy snowfall covers natural food sources. These simple offerings may help dozens of tiny visitors survive until the first signs of spring begin to appear. Soon sparrows arrive, followed by finches, robins, blackbirds, and cautious nuthatches that descend headfirst down tree trunks with remarkable agility. The air remains wonderfully still. Without strong winds, every distant sound travels much farther than usual. Somewhere across the valley, a church bell rings softly, its slow notes drifting through the cold air before gradually fading into silence once more. A dog barks briefly from another farm beyond the hills. A woodpecker taps rhythmically upon an old ash tree, searching for insects beneath the bark. None of these sounds disturb the peace. Instead, they become gentle reminders that this quiet countryside is shared by many lives, each following its own calm routine. As midday approaches, the sun climbs higher above the fields. Although it offers little warmth compared with summer, its low winter angle creates extraordinary light. Long golden rays slip beneath bare branches, illuminating clouds of tiny moisture hanging almost invisibly in the air. The shadows cast by trees stretch elegantly across the snow like delicate brush strokes painted upon a white canvas. Photographers often treasure winter mornings for exactly this reason. The low sun reveals textures and shapes that remain hidden beneath the harsher light of midsummer. Along the woodland edge, an old fallen oak has slowly become part of the forest floor. Though no longer standing, it continues supporting life in remarkable ways. Moss blankets its weathered trunk. Tiny fungi emerge wherever moisture gathers. Beetles tunnel quietly through the softening wood, creating homes for themselves while helping return valuable nutrients to the soil. Even in death, the tree continues giving life to countless other organisms. Forests rarely waste anything. Every fallen branch eventually becomes food, shelter, or fertile ground for something new. A red squirrel suddenly appears high among the branches of a towering pine. Its thick winter tail flows gracefully behind as it leaps effortlessly from limb to limb. Months earlier, during autumn, it buried hundreds of seeds and nuts throughout the surrounding woodland. Although it remembers many of these hidden stores, it never recovers them all. Forgotten acorns and hazelnuts often germinate where they were buried, quietly planting future trees without any deliberate intention. In this way, squirrels have helped shape forests for thousands of years, simply by preparing for winter. The pond has begun to change once again. The thin ice along its southern edge melts slowly beneath the midday sun, creating delicate cracks that spread outward in intricate patterns. Sunlight dances across the moving water beneath, producing shimmering reflections that ripple gently among the reeds. Dragonflies will return here many months from now, but for now only, the quiet circles created by rising fish disturb the surface. Life beneath the water remains patient, conserving energy until warmer days awaken greater activity. Back near the farmhouse, smoke continues rising steadily into the clear winter sky. Inside, bread cools upon wooden racks after being baked in the old stone oven. The warm aroma drifts through the open doorway whenever it is briefly opened, mixing with the crisp outdoor air in a strangely comforting way. Fresh bread has filled farmhouses like this for centuries. Flour, water, salt, and thyme, simple ingredients transformed through careful hands into something that nourishes both body and spirit. The afternoon carries no urgency. The animals move slowly across familiar paths. The trees stand quietly beneath the pale blue sky. Even the clouds seem content to wander without destination. Here, every season teaches its own lesson. Winter asks for patience. It reminds the land to rest, the trees to conserve their strength, and every living creature to trust that warmth will eventually return. Nothing blooms today, yet everything quietly prepares for the moment when it will. If someone were to stand very still in the center of the farm at this hour, they might notice something easily overlooked in everyday life. The silence here is never truly empty. It is filled with subtle layers, the distant flutter of wings, the gentle creak of old timber warming in the sunlight, the faint trickle of melting snow finding its way toward the stream, the soft rustle of dry grasses beneath a passing breeze. These quiet sounds weave together into a peaceful harmony that has echoed across this valley for generations. And so the day continues, unhurried and untroubled, each passing hour gently carrying the old farm one step closer to the first hidden promise of spring. By the time the afternoon begins its slow descent toward evening, the character of the light changes once again. The bright silver of morning has softened into warm shades of honey and amber. Every weathered board upon the old barn seems to glow from within, while the stone walls of the farmhouse reflect gentle golden tones that only winter sunlight can create. The shadows stretch farther across the fields now, reaching slowly toward one another until they merge into broad pools of quiet blue. It is a daily transformation, that happens with such reliability that it is easy to forget how extraordinary it truly is. The old windmill at the far edge of the property stands perfectly still today. Its wooden sails have not turned since the breeze faded shortly after sunrise. Once, long before electric motors and modern machinery became common, windmills performed countless essential tasks upon farms like this one. They ground grain into flour, pumped fresh water from deep wells, and harnessed invisible currents of air to perform work that would otherwise require many hours of human effort. Even now, though retired from daily use, the old mill remains a familiar landmark, its silhouette rising gently above the fields like a patient guardian watching over the seasons. Below it, the pasture slopes gradually toward a narrow stream that meanders lazily across the valley floor. The stream has followed nearly the same course for centuries, though no two journeys are ever quite identical. During spring, it rushes with snowmelt. In summer, it flows gently between flowering grasses. Autumn fills it with drifting leaves that spin slowly upon the current. Winter quiets its voice beneath delicate sheets of ice, but never stops its movement entirely. Water is wonderfully persistent. Given enough time, it shapes mountains, carves valleys, nourishes forests, and sustains every corner of the farm without ever seeming to hurry. At the edge of the stream, tall reeds sway gently whenever the faintest breeze passes through. Their hollow stems produce soft whispers that blend almost perfectly with the distant murmur of flowing water. Many birds continue using these reed beds throughout winter, finding shelter from wind and predators among their dense stems. Tiny insects rest inside broken stalks, safely insulated from the freezing air outside. Even plants that appear lifeless continue providing homes long after their growing season has ended. A graceful gray heron stands motionless beside the unfrozen section of the stream. Its reflection stretches across the still water beneath it, broken only when small ripples drift slowly outward from the gentle current. For several long minutes, the bird barely moves at all. Patience is one of the heron's greatest strengths. Rather than chasing its prey, it simply waits until the perfect moment arrives. Then, with astonishing speed, its long beak strikes the water before returning once again to complete stillness. Watching such quiet precision feels less like witnessing a hunt and more like observing another part of nature's endless rhythm. Back in the orchard, the afternoon sun filters through hundreds of bare branches, creating delicate patterns across the snow-covered ground. Each tree has its own shape, formed slowly over decades by careful pruning, changing weather, and the natural direction of growth. Orchard trees are shaped not only by nature, but also by the quiet decisions of those who care for them. Removing one branch encourages another to flourish. Opening the canopy allows more sunlight to reach the fruit. Small choices made year after year gradually become part of the tree itself. The farmhouse kitchen grows pleasantly warm as the afternoon continues. Steam rises gently from a large pot resting upon the old stove, filling the room with comforting aromas of root vegetables, herbs, and freshly baked bread. Many traditional winter meals developed not from luxury, but from practicality. Potatoes, carrots, onions, beans, and preserved herbs could be stored through the colder months, providing nourishment when gardens slept beneath frost. These simple ingredients, prepared with care, became recipes passed from one generation to the next, carrying with them memories as enduring as the farmhouse walls themselves. Outside once again, the barn cat stretches lazily in a patch of sunlight spilling through the open doorway. Cats instinctively seek warm places during winter, conserving energy whenever possible. After grooming its thick fur with careful attention, it wanders quietly toward the hayloft, where countless familiar scents linger among the stacked bales. Every corner of the barn tells a quiet story. Old harnesses hang neatly upon wooden pegs polished smooth by years of use. Handcrafted tools rest exactly where they have always belonged. Coils of rope, worn leather gloves, and weathered buckets speak not of neglect, but of lives lived through steady work and quiet repetition. Far above the valley, a hawk circles effortlessly upon rising currents of air. Even during winter, subtle differences in temperature create gentle columns of warm air that skilled birds can use to remain aloft with surprisingly little effort. From such heights, the farm appears as a patchwork of snowy fields divided by hedgerows, stone walls, and winding paths. The barn, farmhouse, orchard, woodland, and stream all fit together like pieces of an old quilt, stitched carefully into the landscape over many generations. The woodland beyond the pasture grows quieter as afternoon slowly fades. Sunlight reaches lower between the trunks, illuminating moss-covered stones that have rested undisturbed for centuries. Fallen leaves beneath the snow slowly decompose, releasing nutrients that will nourish next year's growth. Fungi continue their hidden work beneath the forest floor, breaking down old wood into rich soil. Nothing in the forest is ever truly wasted. Every ending becomes the beginning of something else, though the transformation often unfolds too slowly for us to notice. A small flock of starlings suddenly sweeps across the sky in perfect unison before settling upon the branches of a nearby ash tree. Their synchronized flight appears almost choreographed, yet no single bird leads the movement. Instead, each individual responds almost instantly to the motions of its nearest neighbors, creating flowing patterns that ripple through the flock like waves across water. Scientists continue studying these remarkable displays, discovering that extraordinary complexity often emerges from surprisingly simple rules followed together. The winter sun now begins its steady journey toward the western hills. Daylight during this season is precious, lingering only briefly before evening returns. Yet there is no sense of loss in its departure. The farm accepts each shortening day with quiet grace, just as it will welcome the longer days of spring when they arrive. There is comfort in such certainty. The seasons ask for patience, but they never forget their promises. The sheep gradually gather closer to the shelter of the hedgerows, where the wind is weakest. The horses wander back toward the stable at an easy pace, their coats glowing softly beneath the golden light. Chickens scratch through patches of exposed earth near the coop, finding seeds and insects hidden beneath the melting snow. Every animal seems perfectly attuned to the gentle rhythm of the afternoon, moving neither too quickly nor too slowly, simply following instincts refined through countless winters. As the first cool breath of evening begins settling across the fields once more, tiny crystals of frost start forming again upon shaded grasses. The cycle quietly begins anew. Water that melted beneath the midday sun now returns to delicate ice as temperatures slowly fall. Nature rarely wastes a single moment. Every hour carries its own purpose, every season its own quiet work. Standing here beside the old farmhouse, watching the fading sunlight drift across the valley, it becomes easy to understand why places like this inspire such deep affection. The beauty of the farm does not come from grand spectacles or dramatic events. Instead, it grows from ordinary moments repeated faithfully over many years. The familiar sound of birds returning to the hedgerows, the steady curl of smoke above the chimney, the quiet strength of ancient trees, the patient flow of water through the valley, and the comforting knowledge that tomorrow will begin once again with another peaceful winter dawn. The year is still young. Spring waits patiently beyond the horizon, unseen, but already preparing its quiet arrival beneath the frozen earth. For now, however, winter remains the gentle keeper of the land, inviting every living thing to slow its pace, gather its strength, and rest beneath the calm embrace of another peaceful evening. The evening air grows steadily cooler as the final warmth of the winter sun slips quietly behind the distant ridge. A gentle hush settles across the valley, though it is different from the silence of night. This is the peaceful pause between the busy hours of daylight and the deep stillness that will soon follow. The snow reflects the fading sky, taking on soft shades of pale rose, lavender, and cool blue. For only a few precious minutes each winter evening, the entire landscape seems to glow from within, as though the earth itself is remembering the warmth of the vanished sun. The old farmhouse windows shine warmly against the gathering dusk. Their golden light spills gently onto the snowy ground, creating welcoming pools of brightness that contrast with the cool colors surrounding them. Long before electric lighting became common, such windows served as quiet beacons across dark countryside, guiding family members safely home after finishing chores in distant fields. Even today, there is something deeply reassuring about a warmly lit farmhouse standing peacefully against the winter landscape. A thin layer of mist begins forming above the stream, where the relatively warm water meets the increasingly cold evening air. The vapor rises slowly, curling around stones and reeds before drifting lazily across the meadow. This gentle fog changes the familiar scenery into something almost dreamlike. Trees fade into soft silhouettes. Fence posts appear and disappear as the mist moves silently between them. The entire farm seems wrapped in a delicate veil that blurs every sharp edge without hiding the comforting familiarity of the land beneath. From the woodland comes the quiet tapping of a great spotted woodpecker, making one final search for insects before darkness fully arrives. Its rhythmic knocking echoes softly through the bare trees, each strike carefully placed upon trunks where hollow spaces beneath the bark may conceal tiny larvae. Woodpeckers possess remarkably strong neck muscles and specially adapted skulls that absorb repeated impacts without injury. What appears to us as relentless hammering is, for the bird, simply another ordinary evening meal. Near the orchard, the first rabbits begin venturing farther into the open fields. Twilight offers a brief period of relative safety. Many daytime predators have already settled for the evening, while nocturnal hunters are only beginning to emerge. Countless animals have evolved to take advantage of these quiet hours between day and night. The rabbits move carefully, stopping every few moments to lift their ears and sample the air before continuing toward patches of exposed grass revealed where the afternoon sun melted the snow. The barn doors are pulled closed one by one, their familiar hinges groan softly before settling into silence once again. Inside, the scent of dry hay fills the still air. Horses lower their heads into fresh bedding, chewing slowly with calm, steady movements that seem perfectly suited to the peaceful atmosphere. Cows rest comfortably together, sharing warmth within the shelter built generations ago for exactly this purpose. Across the farm, every creature gradually finds its place for the coming night. The old oak tree now stands as a dark silhouette against the fading western sky. During summer, its great canopy offers cool shade to grazing animals and shelter to countless nesting birds. In winter, its bare branches reveal a remarkable architecture normally hidden beneath leaves. Every limb divides into smaller branches, each dividing again into countless twigs that spread outward in elegant patterns. Similar branching structures appear throughout nature in rivers, lightning, blood vessels, and even the delicate airways within our own lungs. Though they exist in very different places, they often follow surprisingly similar designs, shaped by the quiet efficiency of natural processes over immense stretches of time. Above the valley, the first evening star appears just as generations before have watched it appear from this same hillside. For centuries, people living on farms measured the passing seasons not only by crops and weather, but by familiar stars returning to their places in the sky. Long winter evenings encouraged careful observation of the heavens. Without bright artificial lights, the night sky revealed astonishing detail, reminding every observer that their quiet farm existed within a universe far larger than any field or forest could ever contain. The air grows still enough that smoke rises almost perfectly straight from the farmhouse chimney. It climbs steadily upward before slowly dissolving into the darkening sky. The smell of burning oak drifts gently through the orchard, mingling with the crisp scent of snow and evergreen. Every winter carries its own familiar fragrances: cold earth, damp moss, fresh-cut firewood, pine needles, warm bread cooling by the kitchen window. These quiet scents often linger in memory far longer than the sights themselves, returning unexpectedly years later with remarkable clarity. Inside the farmhouse, simple evening routines unfold with comforting familiarity. A kettle whistles softly before being lifted from the stove. Heavy wool blankets are folded neatly beside old wooden chairs. Boots dry slowly near the hearth after another day spent walking frozen paths. Such ordinary rituals rarely seem important while they are happening. Yet together they create the gentle rhythm that transforms a house into a home. The seasons may change endlessly outside, but within these familiar walls, certain comforts remain wonderfully constant. Outside once more, the snow begins sparkling beneath the rising moon. Countless tiny ice crystals catch the pale light, creating a landscape that seems almost dusted with silver. No artist arranged these patterns. No careful hand placed each crystal upon the ground. Instead, every delicate shape formed naturally through the quiet meeting of water, air, temperature, and time. The beauty of winter often comes not from abundance, but from simplicity. Light upon snow, branches against the sky, silence shared between trees that have stood patiently through hundreds of changing seasons. Slowly, almost unnoticed, another peaceful winter day draws to its close. Yet, beneath the frozen fields, the hidden story of the coming spring continues. Roots remain alive. Seeds rest safely in the darkness below. Tiny buds sleep upon every orchard branch, already carrying the first leaves and blossoms of a season still many weeks away. The earth never truly sleeps. It simply works more quietly during winter, preparing patiently for the moment when warmth and sunlight will once again awaken the countryside. Tonight, the old farm rests beneath another clear sky, content to let the stars keep watch until dawn returns once again. The night deepens slowly, almost imperceptibly, until the last traces of twilight disappear beyond the western hills. Above the farm, the sky stretches endlessly in every direction, darker now than at any other hour, revealing thousands of stars scattered across the heavens like grains of silver dust. Their quiet light has traveled unimaginable distances before reaching this peaceful valley. Some left their distant suns before the oldest tree on the farm first pushed its roots into the earth. Others began their journey long before the first stone of the farmhouse was ever placed upon another. Looking upward on a winter night has a curious way of making time feel both immense and wonderfully gentle. The fields below remain perfectly still beneath their covering of snow. Every hill rises and falls with soft curves that seem untouched by human hands, though generations have carefully tended these pastures for centuries. Grass lies dormant beneath the frozen surface, conserving its strength until warmer days return. Tiny wildflowers, whose bright colors will someday decorate these meadows, exist now only as hidden seeds protected beneath layers of soil. Nothing appears to be growing, yet the quiet work of life continues beyond sight. A faint breeze arrives from the north, carrying with it the clean scent of distant forests. It slips gently through the branches of the ancient oak, producing a soft whisper that seems almost like conversation between the tree and the night itself. Every winter, strong winds test these old giants. Weak branches eventually fall, while healthy limbs remain. In this way, storms quietly shape forests, removing what can no longer endure while allowing stronger growth to continue. Nature rarely wastes energy preserving what has already reached the end of its purpose. Along the woodland floor, countless leaves from the previous autumn rest beneath the snow, forming a rich blanket that protects the soil below. These fallen leaves perform an important task even after their colors have faded. As fungi, bacteria, and tiny invertebrates slowly break them down, valuable nutrients return to the earth, enriching the ground for the trees that produced them. What appears to be the end of one season quietly becomes the beginning of another. Every forest lives through this endless exchange, where nothing truly disappears, but instead becomes part of something new. Near the stable, the horses remain peaceful. Occasionally, one shifts its weight or gently flicks an ear toward a distant sound before settling once more into quiet rest. Horses sleep differently from many other animals. They spend much of the night resting while standing, using specialized tendons that lock their legs comfortably in place. Only for deeper sleep do they briefly lie upon the straw, and even then for surprisingly short periods. Evolution has prepared them for open grasslands, where remaining ready to flee at a moment's notice once meant the difference between survival and danger. The old barn seems almost timeless beneath the moonlight. Its weathered roof bears the marks of countless winters, snowfalls that came and went, storms that rattled every beam, summers that dried the timber beneath long afternoons of sun. Yet, despite the passing decades, the structure continues serving its purpose with quiet reliability. There is a certain dignity in things that endure not because they resist change, but because they accept it. Every repaired board, every replaced hinge, every carefully strengthened beam tells the story of maintenance rather than perfection. Beyond the orchard, a fox follows a familiar path along the edge of the hedgerow. Its paws leave delicate tracks upon the fresh snow, each footprint preserving a brief record of its passing. By morning, these tracks may reveal an entire story to anyone patient enough to read them. Here the fox paused to listen. There it changed direction after catching an unfamiliar scent. Farther on, it leaped lightly over a narrow ditch before continuing toward the woodland beyond. Snow has always been nature's quiet notebook, recording movements that normally disappear without trace. The pond lies silent beneath its smooth covering of ice. Reflected upon its frozen surface, the moon appears almost perfectly still, interrupted only by the faint shadows of nearby reeds. Although everything seems frozen, tiny changes continue through the long night. Ice slowly expands and contracts as temperatures shift, occasionally producing soft creaks or distant cracking sounds that travel surprisingly far across the quiet countryside. These gentle voices of winter have echoed across frozen lakes and ponds for thousands of years, reminding anyone awake to listen that even apparent stillness contains subtle movement. Far below the frozen ground, the roots of the orchard trees remain quietly alive. Their activity is greatly reduced during winter, yet they continue drawing small amounts of moisture from the earth whenever conditions allow. The thick layer of soil surrounding them acts as a remarkable insulator, keeping underground temperatures far more stable than the bitter air above. While branches sleep beneath frost, an unseen network below continues its patient work, holding every tree firmly against the winter winds. Hours drift by with almost dreamlike calm. Clouds occasionally pass before the moon, dimming the landscape for a few peaceful moments before moving on once again. During these brief intervals, darkness deepens across the valley, softening every outline until barn, farmhouse, orchard, and woodland seem to merge into one quiet silhouette. Then, just as gently, the moon emerges again, restoring its silver light to every familiar corner of the farm. Somewhere in the distance, a deer steps cautiously through the forest. Its ears remain constantly alert, turning independently toward each faint sound carried by the cold air. Deer survive winter not through speed alone, but through remarkable efficiency. Their thicker winter coats trap insulating air close to the body, while their metabolism adjusts to conserve precious energy during months when food is less abundant. Every movement becomes thoughtful. Every unnecessary step avoided saves strength for the weeks ahead. Inside the farmhouse, the fire has burned lower now, leaving only a bed of glowing embers beneath a fine layer of ash. The room remains comfortably warm, protected protected by thick stone walls that slowly release the heat gathered throughout the evening. Old buildings often possess a quiet wisdom born from generations of practical experience. Long before modern insulation existed, builders learned to work with natural materials that moderated temperature, resisted weather, and endured the passing years with graceful resilience. As midnight quietly slips into the early hours of morning, the farm reaches its deepest state of rest. There is no sense of loneliness here, only peaceful stillness shared among fields, forests, animals, and sky. Every living thing follows its own rhythm, yet together they create a remarkable harmony. The trees stand patiently. The stream continues its hidden journey beneath the ice. Birds sleep safely within dense evergreens. The horses breathe slowly in the stable. The farmhouse watches over them all beneath its snow-covered roof. It is easy, in places like this, to understand why people have always found comfort in the changing seasons. Winter does not ask the land to produce. Instead, it grants permission to pause, to recover, to gather strength unseen. Even the shortest day eventually yields to a slightly longer one. Even the coldest night quietly carries the promise of dawn. Soon, though not yet, the first birds will awaken. Frost will sparkle once again beneath the morning sun. Smoke will rise from the chimney as another peaceful day begins upon the old farm. But for now, there is only this calm winter night, resting gently beneath an endless sky filled with ancient stars, while the turning of the earth carries every sleeping field a little closer to spring. Long before the first bird announces the coming morning, the world begins changing in ways almost impossible to notice. The darkness no longer feels quite as deep as it did an hour before. Somewhere beyond the eastern hills, though still hidden beneath the horizon, the sun is beginning another journey toward the sky. Its light has not yet reached the valley, but the earth is already turning gently toward it, carrying the old farm through the final quiet moments of another winter night. A faint layer of frost has returned to every exposed surface. The wooden gate beside the orchard glistens beneath countless tiny crystals, each one formed from invisible moisture settling out of the cold air. The rope hanging beside the stable has become stiff with ice. The iron latch upon the barn door wears a delicate coating of white that catches the moonlight with surprising brilliance. Frost often appears suddenly, yet it forms slowly, molecule by molecule, in perfect silence. Throughout the night, nature has been quietly decorating the farm with patterns too intricate for even the finest craftsmen to reproduce. The ancient oak remains perfectly motionless against the fading stars. During daylight, its great trunk appears solid and unchanging. Yet even now, it continues responding to the cold. Trees expand slightly in the warmth of summer and contract during winter as temperatures shift. These movements are almost unimaginably small, but over decades, they influence everything from the tiny cracks in bark gradual shaping of branches. What seems permanent is, in truth, always changing by the smallest of degrees. Beneath the snow, the meadow rests in peaceful stillness. Hidden below the frozen surface are thousands of grasses whose roots spread into a vast underground network. Although only the green blades are visible during warmer months, the true strength of a meadow lies beneath the soil. Some grasses send roots more than a meter deep, helping prevent erosion while storing moisture that will nourish the landscape during the dry days of summer. The quiet resilience of these plants is easily overlooked because their greatest work happens entirely out of sight. Inside the woodland, the first signs of waking begin to appear. A tiny wren fluffs its feathers against the cold before giving a single soft call that disappears into the darkness. A robin shifts to a lower branch where the morning light will arrive first. High among the evergreens, a sleeping squirrel slowly uncurls within its carefully built nest of twigs, moss, and dry leaves. None of these creatures hurry. They have learned that dawn unfolds gradually, rewarding patience rather than haste. The old stream continues flowing beneath its delicate roof of ice. Occasionally, a small pocket of trapped air escapes from below, creating a faint ripple where open water remains. The sound is almost impossible to hear unless one stands nearby in complete silence. Streams possess an endless patience. Day after day, season after season, they continue following the same valleys, wearing away stone one tiny grain at a time. Their greatest strength has never been force alone, but persistence measured across centuries. Near the farmhouse, stacked firewood waits beneath a simple wooden shelter. Each log bears the circular rings of the tree from which it came, preserving a quiet record of its life. Narrow rings tell of dry years when growth was slow. Wider rings reveal seasons of abundant rain and warm sunshine. Scientists can learn astonishing details simply by studying these patterns, reading the history of forests, much as historians read old manuscripts. Every tree quietly records the passing years without ever writing a single word. As the eastern sky begins turning from black to deep indigo, the stars nearest the horizon slowly disappear. The brightest constellations remain visible overhead, but even they seem softer now. One by one, they surrender to the approaching dawn, just as they have done every morning since long before this valley was first settled. There is something comforting in such dependable rhythms. No matter how different one winter may be from another, sunrise never forgets its appointment with the earth. The chickens begin stirring once again inside their coop. Gentle rustling fills the air as feathers are shaken loose and wings stretch after the long night. One curious hen hops down from her perch slightly earlier than the others, inspecting the floor with quiet determination, despite there being little to discover until daylight arrives. Such small habits vary from bird to bird, reminding us that even within a flock, individual personalities quietly emerge. The horses hear movement inside the farmhouse before any human steps outside. Their ears rotate toward the familiar sounds of doors opening, boots crossing wooden floors, and the first crackling of fresh logs placed upon the morning fire. Animals often notice ordinary routines long before people realize how predictable those routines have become. Consistency offers reassurance. The steady rhythm of each day creates a sense of calm shared by every living creature on the farm. The first ribbon of pale gold finally appears above the distant hills. It spreads slowly across the horizon, transforming the frost-covered fields into a landscape glowing with cool blue shadows and warm amber highlights. Every frozen branch sparkles once more. Tiny ice crystals reflect the newborn sunlight in countless directions, making the orchard appear almost dusted with diamonds. These moments last only a few minutes before the strengthening sun melts the delicate frost. Yet their briefness only adds to their beauty. Smoke begins rising from the farmhouse chimney once again, drifting lazily upward into the calm morning air. The familiar scent of oak wood returns to the valley, carried gently across the snow-covered fields. Soon, the stable doors open, releasing a wave of warm air scented with hay, leather, and fresh straw. Horses greet the morning with slow breaths that become pale clouds in the cold air. Nearby, the sheep wander quietly toward the pasture, already knowing where yesterday's melting snow revealed patches of green grass beneath. The orchard, silent throughout the night, gradually fills with birdsong. Blackbirds, robins, finches, and sparrows each contribute their own gentle notes to the growing chorus. Scientists believe birds sing for many reasons: to establish territory, attract mates, and communicate with one another. But to anyone standing quietly beneath the trees, their music feels like something simpler. It is the sound of another day beginning exactly as it should. The old farmer pauses beside the gate before beginning the morning chores. He looks across the fields, noticing the fresh fox tracks crossing the meadow during the night. Nearby, delicate bird footprints scatter beneath the hedgerow where seeds were left the previous afternoon. Without speaking a word, the landscape has already shared the story of everything that happened while the farmhouse slept. Snow remembers every visitor, every journey, every quiet moment, until the warming sun gently erases the page and prepares it for another night's stories. The second winter morning of our journey has begun much like the first, yet not quite the same. Different birds occupy different branches. The clouds drift in unfamiliar shapes. The stream carries new water from distant hills. Tiny changes, almost invisible by themselves, slowly weave together to create the rich fabric of an entire year. No single day transforms the farm, but together they shape every tree, every meadow, every harvest, and every memory carried forward through the seasons. Winter remains gentle but steadfast. asks little of the land beyond patience, and in return, it offers quiet mornings like this one, filled with sparkling frost, peaceful silence, and the comforting certainty that even now, hidden beneath the frozen earth, the first invisible preparations for spring are already well underway. As the second winter day unfolds, the farm settles once again into the slow and dependable rhythm that has guided it for generations. The morning chill gradually softens beneath the pale sun, though the air remains crisp enough that every breath hangs briefly like a tiny cloud before disappearing into the clear sky. Across the fields, the snow has begun to retreat from the highest ground where the sunlight lingers longest. Small islands of green emerge here and there, revealing hardy grasses that have waited patiently beneath their frozen blanket. They are not yet growing, only breathing once more beneath the returning warmth of the day. The hedgerows come alive with quiet movement. Sparrows dart between tangled branches, while a robin claims its favorite perch upon an old gatepost. Somewhere deep inside the thorny growth, a wren searches carefully among dry leaves, turning each one with quick, deliberate movements. These ancient living fences have protected the farm for centuries, sheltering wildlife from harsh winds while marking gentle boundaries across the countryside. Before wire fences became common, hedgerows shaped entire landscapes, growing thicker with every passing decade until they became miniature forests in their own right. Tiny droplets begin falling from the roof of the barn as the morning sun melts the night's frost. They land rhythmically upon the stones below, each one joining countless others that slowly find their way into the soil. Water follows an endless journey through the farm. It falls as rain or snow, disappears into streams, nourishes roots, rises again through leaves, and eventually returns to the sky. Every drop has likely passed through clouds, rivers, forests, and oceans many times over during the history of our planet. The water resting upon this quiet farm today may once have drifted above distant mountains or crossed seas carried by winds long forgotten. Near the edge of the orchard, a small patch of snowdrops has begun pushing through the frozen ground. Their delicate white flowers seem almost impossibly fragile against the lingering cold. Yet they are among the first plants brave enough to bloom each year. Snowdrops contain natural compounds that help protect their tissues from freezing temperatures, allowing them to flourish, while much of the landscape still sleeps beneath winter's embrace. Their appearance is subtle, easily missed by anyone walking too quickly. But to those who notice them, they offer the first gentle whisper that the seasons are beginning to turn. The old farmer kneels beside one of the apple trees, carefully examining its branches. Winter is the traditional season for pruning, when the structure of every tree can be seen clearly without leaves hiding its shape. With slow, thoughtful movements, he removes a few crossing branches, allowing future sunlight to reach deeper into the canopy. Every cut is made with the coming years in mind rather than the present day. Fruit trees reward patience. Decisions made during the quiet months of winter influence blossoms in spring, fruit in summer, and harvests in autumn. Time moves differently in an orchard, measured not in days, but in seasons. The chickens scratch happily through patches of exposed earth where yesterday's sunlight melted away the snow. Their search appears random, yet each bird possesses remarkable instincts for finding seeds, insects, and tender shoots hidden beneath the surface. Occasionally, one discovers a particularly rewarding morsel, prompting several others to hurry over in hopeful curiosity. Their gentle clucking rises and falls like quiet conversation, filling the farmyard with familiar sounds that have echoed through rural mornings for countless generations. Above the pasture, the sky remains astonishingly clear. A pair of ravens soar high overhead, barely moving their wings as they ride invisible currents of air. Ravens are among the most intelligent birds in the world, capable of solving complex problems, remembering individual faces, and even using simple tools. Yet here, gliding effortlessly across the winter sky, they ask nothing of the day except the freedom to fly where the wind carries them. The old stone wall bordering the lower meadow has begun warming beneath the sunlight. Small patches of moss glisten with moisture, while tiny lichens spread across the rough surface in intricate patterns of pale green, silver, and orange. Lichens are extraordinary partnerships between fungi and microscopic algae, each supporting the other in a relationship so successful that they can survive where few other living things can. Some lichens grow only a fraction of a millimeter each year. A patch no larger than a hand may have quietly occupied the same stone for many decades, slowly expanding with remarkable patience. Toward midday, a gentle breeze returns to the valley. It carries the scent of pine from the distant woodland, mingled with the earthy fragrance of damp soil beginning to awaken beneath the melting snow. The breeze stirs the branches of the orchard, causing tiny droplets of water to fall in sparkling showers that catch the sunlight before disappearing into the grass below. For a moment, the trees seem to shimmer as though covered in countless tiny bells of crystal. The farmhouse door opens once again, and warm laughter drifts briefly into the cold air before the door closes softly behind it. Though the farm is peaceful, it has never been lonely. Families have lived here through every season, sharing meals after long days of work, celebrating abundant harvests, comforting one another during difficult winters, and watching children grow alongside the orchards they helped plant. Every old farmhouse carries invisible layers of memory within its walls. Floors worn smooth by generations of footsteps, doorways polished by countless hands, windows through which thousands of sunrises have been quietly observed. The nearby woodland remains calm, yet subtle changes continue beneath its leaf-covered floor. Fungi extend delicate threads through the soil, connecting the roots of neighboring trees in networks stretching astonishing distances. Through these underground pathways, trees can exchange nutrients, share chemical signals, and even assist younger saplings growing beneath the shade of their larger companions. Forests are often described as collections of individual trees, but in many ways, they function more like quiet communities, linked together beneath the surface in ways scientists are only beginning to fully understand. By early afternoon, the sun reaches its highest point, though winter keeps it much lower in the sky than during summer. The light remains gentle, casting long shadows even at midday. This low angle reveals every subtle contour of the land. Tiny rises and hollows become visible across the fields. Old wagon tracks, long since covered by grass, briefly reappear as sunlight grazes their edges. The landscape tells its history not only through buildings and trees, but through the shape of the ground itself. Far beyond the farm, the distant hills stand softly beneath a pale blue haze. They seem unchanged from season to season, yet even they continue evolving through the slow work of wind, rain, frost, and time. Mountains rise and fall over millions of years. Rivers patiently carve valleys grain by grain. Forests migrate gradually across landscapes as climates shift. Compared to these immense rhythms, the turning of a single year upon the farm feels wonderfully intimate, a small story unfolding within a much larger one. The afternoon grows quieter once more. The animals rest peacefully after feeding. Birds become less active as the brightest hours begin to fade. Shadows lengthen gently across the snow-covered meadows, reminding the land that another evening is approaching. Winter still holds the countryside, but its grip has become ever so slightly gentler than when our journey first began. The first signs of change are subtle, almost invisible, yet they are unmistakably there for anyone willing to look closely enough. The farm continues waiting without impatience. It has learned across generations that every season arrives precisely when it should, never earlier, never later. And so, beneath the clear winter sky, surrounded by quiet fields and ancient trees, another peaceful day moves steadily toward its calm and familiar close. The afternoon slowly gives itself to evening once more, though today something feels ever so slightly different. The change is almost impossible to measure without careful attention, yet the sunlight lingers a little longer across the western meadow. The shadows of the old oak stretch gracefully toward the stream, but they do not arrive quite as early as they did only a few weeks before. Somewhere deep within the quiet machinery of the earth, our planet has continued its steady journey around the sun. The lengthening days announce this silent progress more faithfully than any calendar hanging upon the farmhouse wall. Tiny rivulets of water now run gently along the edges of the lane where melting snow has found the easiest path downhill. They gather beside moss-covered stones before slipping quietly beneath patches of remaining ice, continuing toward the stream that patiently collects every drop. Water is endlessly adaptable. It changes from snow to ice, from mist to rain, from flowing river to drifting cloud. Yet, it is always the same simple substance. The very water passing beneath the old wooden bridge this afternoon may someday rise into the sky above distant oceans before returning years later as gentle rain upon these same familiar fields. The orchard has begun offering the smallest hints of life beyond winter. Upon the branches of the apple trees, tiny buds appear ever so slightly fuller than before. Their protective scales remain tightly closed against the lingering cold, but hidden within each bud rests an entire cluster of future leaves, waiting patiently for warmer mornings. Every blossom of spring begins like this, quietly, invisibly, long before anyone notices its arrival. A blackbird lands beside the stone well, tilting its head thoughtfully before taking a drink from a shallow puddle left by melting frost. Around the edges of the water, delicate reflections shimmer beneath the low afternoon sun. The bird pauses only briefly before disappearing into the hedgerow, leaving behind gentle ripples that spread outward until the surface becomes perfectly still once more. So many moments upon the farm last only seconds, yet together they create an endless tapestry of quiet movement that never truly repeats itself. The woodland also senses the slow turning of the season. High among the branches, the first catkins hang from hazel trees like tiny golden tassels swaying softly in the breeze. Though easily overlooked, they are among the earliest flowers of the countryside, releasing pale clouds of pollen whenever the wind passes through them. Unlike brightly colored blossoms that depend upon bees and butterflies, these modest flowers trust the invisible currents of air to carry their pollen across the woodland. Their beauty lies not in vivid colors, but in remarkable simplicity. Near the stable, the horses have begun shedding the thickest portions of their winter coats. Small tufts of soft hair cling to wooden fence rails where they rubbed themselves during the warmth of the afternoon. Soon birds will gather this loose fur, weaving it carefully into nests lined with remarkable softness for the eggs that spring will soon bring. Nothing upon the farm exists in complete isolation. One season quietly prepares another, one creature unknowingly helping many others through the simple routines of daily life. Inside the barn, swallows have not yet returned from their long migration, but their mud nests remain tucked safely beneath the old roof beams, exactly where they were left the previous autumn. Year after year, many swallows return to these very same nests after journeys spanning thousands of kilometers. Guided by instincts still not fully understood, they cross continents with astonishing accuracy before once again circling above this quiet farm, filling the summer air with graceful flight and cheerful song. The vegetable garden, silent for so many weeks, now reveals subtle signs of awakening. The soil feels softer beneath the farmer's boots as frost slowly releases its grip. Compost spread during autumn has settled into the earth, enriching it with nutrients gathered from last year's leaves, stems, and harvest remains. Nothing has been wasted. Every faded plant has become food for the next generation of growth. The cycle continues with remarkable generosity, asking only patience in return. Clouds drift lazily across the afternoon sky, their soft shadows moving over the fields like slow waves across a quiet sea. Sunlight and shade take turns illuminating different corners of the farm. First, the orchard glows warmly, while the pasture rests beneath cool gray light. Then, a few moments later, the meadow brightens as the woodland slips briefly into shadow. The landscape is never completely still. Even on the calmest day, light itself is constantly painting new scenes upon familiar ground. The old stone bridge crossing the stream has carried people, horses, wagons, and later tractors for more years than anyone can easily remember. Rain has polished its surface smooth. Moss has claimed the shaded side nearest the water. Tiny ferns emerge from narrow cracks where moisture gathers throughout the year. Built simply to connect two fields, it has quietly become part of the landscape itself, so natural that it seems almost as though it has always belonged there. As the afternoon slips gently toward evening, the air fills with the faint scent of damp earth. It is different from the sharp freshness of deep winter. Softer, richer, more alive somehow. Soil possesses its own distinctive fragrance, produced by countless microorganisms living beneath the surface. After months of frozen stillness, these tiny communities gradually become active once again, releasing scents that many people instinctively associate with the arrival of spring. Long before leaves appear or flowers bloom, the earth itself quietly announces that change is underway. The sheep graze peacefully upon newly uncovered patches of grass, while nearby the chickens scratch through damp leaves in search of insects beginning to stir beneath the warming ground. A pair of crows inspect the freshly thawed edges of the field, their glossy feathers reflecting the golden evening light. Above them, a skylark rises almost invisibly into the pale sky, singing as it climbs, until its voice seems to come from the air itself, rather than from any visible bird. Across the countryside, songs that have been absent throughout the quietest weeks of winter slowly begin returning, one familiar melody at a time. The farmhouse windows catch the final sunlight before dusk. Their warm reflections shimmer across the yard, while smoke rises steadily from the chimney into the cooling evening air. Another peaceful day is drawing to its close, yet this evening carries a gentle sense of anticipation. Winter has not ended, but its hardest days have already passed. Somewhere beyond the horizon, spring continues making its quiet journey toward the valley. The old farm does not hurry this transformation. It has witnessed hundreds of winters, giving way to hundreds of springs. It knows that every blossom arrives in its own perfect moment. Every migrating bird returns when the time is right, and every seed wakes only after the earth has prepared a place for it. There is deep comfort in such patience. Nothing here struggles against the passing seasons. Instead, everything belongs to them completely. As twilight settles gently across the fields once again, the first evening star appears above the western ridge, just as it did yesterday and countless evenings before. The stream continues its endless song beneath the bridge. The trees stand quietly against the fading sky. The animals settle comfortably into familiar shelters, and the old farmhouse, weathered but welcoming, glows softly in the gathering dusk, ready to watch over another peaceful night as the great wheel of the seasons continues its slow and timeless turning.